very warm welcome to our show, In Our Humble Opinion. Namaste, namaste, namaste. In our humble opinion.
Ayo!
So, welcome back. And namaste to all our listeners. And I have with me my khakis, my co-host, Gilbert Cheah here on my right, and Chris Henson.
Hello, everybody.
Henson.
Yes, got it
It's
right.
just that it's just so handsome.
So I know, sometimes
Chris
I know.
Henson. Okay.
Thank you.
So today we are starting with the subject of marriages. Maybe not the kind that you're thinking of, but after you listen to what I have to say, you're going to sure debate about it, discuss about it. So yeah, look forward to that. Because we all know that marriages can change people. But I'm going to share with you how marriages can even change the weather. And sometimes you can't talk about marriage without, unfortunately, talking about divorce. So that's there too. Moving on, we are also going to talk about employees who are weathering the storms that their employers put on them. And of course, we have a very special human story because we three of us here believe in good, believe in humanity. But then last but not least, we have this very, very controversial case and the brouhaha about how the photographs have been doctored, right? So Let's start with marriage. Now, we have all heard the adage that we grew up with, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. Now, we've heard about that. So every time a woman wants to go to get a divorce, we're just going to conclude that the divorce is because, well, she's been ill-treated, or there's a problem, or irreconcilable differences, or guess what, her husband was having an affair, or etc., etc., etc. But in this case, a woman in India, she wanted to divorce her husband because he was just too perfect. Yeah, you heard that right. Wanted to divorce because he doesn't argue with her. He just forgives her. He doesn't even scold her if she does something wrong. So, give me a divorce, man. This guy is just too perfect. So the woman went to Sharia court. And now when I read about this case, I was shocked. And needless to say that the cleric who was at the Sharia court, he too was shocked. Because I think in his whole life, this is the first time a woman came to court and said, you know what, this is too much love, this is too much perfection. Hey, I don't want it. So, well, she wanted a divorce because her husband loved her too much, like I said. She couldn't handle it. And so I spoke to a friend about this. And she said, well, what I get from this is treat them mean and keep them keen. So, but in this case, it's more of a case of she's not keen because he's not mean. Well, I hope I'm not setting a precedent there, but because of this, I'd like to ask my two male co-hosts, what do they think about love? Is too much love bad? Yes, Gilbert?
Okay, this is not a case of too much love. This is a case of crazy woman. All right? I mean, it is just insane. Now, she says basically that she's angry at her husband because he doesn't fight with her, he's too agreeable and all of that. So if we come to a stage now when people are asking for divorce because of this kind of a situation, then, you know, I really worry about the human race. I do believe that this woman is an exception, though. I think that she's a bit whacked. She's not woke, she's whacked. But there is something to be said about being with somebody who does not stand up for himself. Not saying about this man here, but just in general, if someone is a doormat, for example.
Correct.
And always gives in, you know, like for example, you ask, what would you like to eat? Oh, anything can, you know. What would you want to do? Anything you want to do, I also want to do, you know. Thankfully, though, most marriages get out of that stage very quickly.
Well, Gilbert,
but I think that living with someone like that can drive someone crazy.
Right.
Not saying that this guy or this woman is correct in this case, but there's something to be said about too much agreeableness if someone is not standing up for themselves.
So she was, like you correctly said, she didn't want, maybe she was just bored. She didn't want a boring doormat or a sweet, sweet idiot who says yes to everything. Having said that, maybe she is a really intelligent woman and wants somebody to spar with, you know.
No, but you know, if that's the case, then she needs to
with.
clarify it, because what she said is not that. You know, she didn't say he's a doormat or anything like that. You know, she said he doesn't shout at me. He's never been disappointed. He's never ever disappointed me over any issue. And I feel suffocated in such an environment. Sometimes he even cooks for me and helps me in performing household chores.
Exactly.
So I think, you know.
So Chris.
Yes.
What would you like to say, handsome?
Well, I wanted to say it first, but Gilbert said it first. But I wanted to actually say it this way, 小杂包, you know. But actually, again, I
different
don't think
language,
so.
same thoughts.
Same meaning. But I kind of understand. I mean, in hindsight, you know, when you read it for the first time, you go, "What's wrong with this woman?" But then again, just coincidentally, about exactly a week ago today, I went out for some drinks with my wife. It was one of those rare occasions where we could do it right after the shoot we had for the last episode. So, and there was a friend with us, you know, a younger person, as a young lady, and my wife said that, you know, you think I would have married my husband if he didn't have his own backbone, if he didn't have his own opinion, if he doesn't, you know, if he's not the way he is, right? Because it'd be boring. And I think perhaps where this lady is concerned in India, I think she was born out of her wits. There's no color. You know, life without color. Every single day got this sweet guy doting on you until it's so saccharine to the point that you think you're living in a beehive.
Oh,
my question is, didn't she have known this before the marriage though?
Maybe it was an arranged marriage.
Well,
do they still do
no,
that?
of course,
they do,
yes.
they do.
And so when you meet the man, again, I don't know. That's one of the reasons why right in the beginning I said, women out there, listen. Because this is really interesting. We don't know much about the man. We don't know much about the woman. But we do know that she actually thinks he's perfect and that's why he's wrong for her.
Yeah, but you see, let's put it this way. If I was a lady and I want to choose my life partner, and if it wasn't arranged, for example, hypothetically, yeah, I would think I would find a man who's the perfect person, the perfect guy. He'll cook for me, he'll pamper me, or dote on me. Then after a couple of years, or a couple of months, start to realize, oh goodness me, this is just getting too overbearing. Because something that's so sweet can also get overbearing.
You mean so sweet it's going to give you diabetes?
Saccharine as hell, yes, correct. And she doesn't want to give dialysis.
Diabetes.
So, you know, okay, I think those are legitimate issues. But in the big scheme of things, I think this woman should at least count herself to be lucky that she has a husband like this, because there are other women who face much more serious problems with their husbands, such as wife battering. And one problem which I read about or watched recently on TV, which I've then been reading about, which is quite shocking, is acid attacks against women in India. Where there's actually a group of women, 26 of them, that form an organization called Acid Attack Survivors, because they were attacked and disfigured with acid thrown in their faces by their husbands.
That's quite
that's really
several years ago.
A weapon that they use, especially if you've been ditched or you haven't been treated well.
But
you know, the exes.
But several years ago, don't forget there were the burning brides issue as well. They set the brides on fire.
That is after the husband dies.
The widows. That's not several years ago. That's a couple of 100 years ago. Because we are talking about the whole ritual which is called sati.
Okay.
Which is a total different thing.
I can stand corrected, but Daisy, I remember reading this and doing it for my GP paper when I was in my teens.
No. That's so. What happens is one is looking at sati. Hear me out. Which is about, you know, a tradition which was there where, when especially with royalty, when your husband dies on the pyre, you go into the pyre and you die with him. What you are talking about, and pardon me because I misunderstood, is you are saying about the women who sometimes, if they don't get dowry, and you have the in-laws who actually just douse you with
that's
jealousy.
that's what I'm referring to.
Put you alive, and it's yet there, unfortunately. I mean,
that one's still,
I know people are trying. I know the NGOs want to set it right. Women are ablaze to make sure this stops.
Yeah,
but
not literally.
But coming back to this topic about this lady, you know, I mean, who knows, man? She could be a 50 Shades of Grey fan or something, wants a super alpha male with a whip and handcuffs and
Yeah,
stuff.
well, you see, you know what? That's what I'm really scared of, because now the cynical chauvinists are going to say, you know what? There's no pleasing a woman, okay?
Yeah.
Okay? This is what she wants. This is proof of it. You don't want an adoring, loving husband. You just want somebody who can just beat the shit.
But
out of
You know, but the thing about it is that if he's so agreeable, she could just at least tell him, stop being so agreeable. Then because he's agreeable, he'll agree to not be so agreeable.
The guy's well.
That's a nice one. Maybe she could try that, because
Yeah,
after
before
Sharia
going to
court,
Sharia court.
No, after Sharia court, when
Yeah.
she was rejected by this absolutely shocked cleric,
Yeah.
she went to the normal, the panchayat, the local panchayat, the village panchayat. And I can just imagine the panchayat, the men, which are made up of men, actually sitting there
What's
with
that
their
mean?
mouth
Yes.
agape,
Yes.
No,
wondering.
what's that mean? How do you put
Panchayat.
it?
It's
No,
like a council, tribal council.
Council in the
tribal
village.
council.
But most of them are usually men, and they must be sitting over there with their mustaches thinking, what's wrong with you, woman? So finally, they spoke to the husband, and the husband yet so sweetly insisted that I still love
What
her.
a trophy, man, this guy, huh?
So now they've been asked to go back and work this out.
Yes.
So all the best to them. But ladies, this is really worth a discussion. Is too much love not good?
Or too much agreeable.
Or too much agreeable? Okay.
Yeah.
So now we're going to move on to a different kind of wedding. All right? Now, this wedding is different because it was arranged specifically to address climate change. So now, again, let your imagination just go with you, all right? It's 52 degrees. There's drought. The sun is relentlessly beating down on your head, and you need to do something to appease the gods. And so, what do? In the coastal town, Udupi, Karnataka, a citizens' forum
It's
arranged...
in India, right? Yes.
In
Okay.
India,
All right.
a citizens' forum arranged a Hindu wedding ceremony for two, hold your breath, frogs.
Rabbit,
Yeah, called Manduka Parinaya,
rabbit.
which is believed to appease the rain gods. And so what happened is a group of frogs were caught in two different villages and inspected, okay? Because the groom was inspected by none other than the Department of Zoology in Manipal.
Inspect for what?
You've got to be a male frog and a female frog.
But aren't these amphibians, frogs, they can adopt different genders at different
In
times?
this case, they were actually
No.
inspected.
Am I right? Or,
No,
or
wait,
was that
let me
Jurassic
finish
Park?
this. The male and the female frog were then chosen. They were Christian, Varuna and Varsha, which is important because Varuna is the god of water and Varsha means rain.
Hey Daisy, answer the question. Isn't it like the frog can actually change genders?
I don't know about that, but I do know
I gotta
that the
research this.
Department of Zoology knows better than me. So they found these, they were married, they were dressed in garlands, and the two frogs were married off. And you know what happened? It rained. It rained. So that's a nice ending.
But in
because once
Singapore-
the frogs went for their honeymoon, okay, I need to finish with this. You see, frogs can mate and consummate their marriage only during the rains. So I think the whole idea is to pressurize God, and human beings force the hands of the gods and say, hey, look, they're married now. They've got to consummate
Okay.
their marriage. Let it rain.
All right. More bizarre stuff. I
But
guess.
in Singapore, right, there's also an emerging trend, for rainmaking. And it happens all the time on my Facebook. I have people saying, Chris, please wash your car. It's too hot.
Yes, I've heard about that too. So these a couple of things, right?
I
Yeah.
just want to know, is your car mating with another car? That's the question.
Well, I can tell you one thing for sure. I am not mating with my car.
Okay. No, okay. That's such a relief. Whoa. But here it is, if you want to summon the gods for some reason, I don't know what, you can find a mate for your beautiful...
Okay, so I think this really shows the desperation of these people with the climate issues that they are facing. But apparently this is a ceremony that's happened a long time already. I mean, it's part of tradition. It's not something that they just came out and invented.
Absolutely, yes.
And to answer your question about the frog change, it's only West African frogs that can do this, and some of them can do this. They actually switch genders after successfully mating.
Holy...
It's called
But after
sequential
mating.
sequential hermaphrodism.
You see,
When-
this guy's a walking wiki, man.
No, I
Come
love
on.
that.
So-
and the point is, but notice they can only change after mating.
After mating.
So that means you have to rain before that. So the gods have to make
So
sure it rains.
yeah. So these strange beliefs about weather is really a sign of, I mean, it's happened throughout human history, of humans trying to have some control over things that they actually have no control over, right? And there's something in Singapore, aside from your washing your car, where people really believe this when they have the opposite desire of not wanting to rain. I heard that they plant chilies.
Chili and garlic,
Garlic
into the
and
ground.
onions.
It works, man.
Okay, that one I
That's
heard
also
and
very-
I find so bizarre because I
it
don't
works.
understand the rationale behind it. I can understand
You're too
about
scientific,
placating the rain gods
Too
through
scientific.
frogs, maybe. But what's the relation between chili in the ground and the
Hey,
rain
dude,
clouds?
don't mess
Is
with
there-
superstition,
no,
man.
Okay,
Come on.
but is there some
7 months.
mythology that I'm
well,
missing
actually,
here?
I
Was there a chili
might
party
be
goddess
wrong. No,
that-
I might be wrong. But what happens is we use chili and nimbu, that is lemon, to actually remove the evil eye. That is the tradition. So the idea is that you take chili and you take the lemon and then you
Yeah, but that's
remove
different.
the
This one they
evil eye.
plant it in the
No,
ground to
they-
prevent
because-
rain.
To prevent rain, yeah.
It's like, I don't want rain. Please remove.
You know,
the
Gilbert,
rain.
let me tell you why.
And-
Because why I think
But
I
I
wanna
kind
know,
of
is that-
believe in it.
Yeah, okay.
Because back in doing my full-time NS days, right? And I tell you, it's crazy because we move out very often for outfield for exercises back then in the day. And every time we do that, my CEO then tells my RSM, have you planted it yet? And I'm not kidding, man. Before we move out, boom,
Wow.
in camp.
So you're supposed to plant one chili
what?
party.
A stick of chili, right? A stick of garlic, if I'm not mistaken, into the ground. And you know what, mate? Hardly ever rains.
But then what? All this, I mean, you know, Singapore, they love golf. It's golf crazy. So what? You go to the to
You
play
will be
golf in the
surprised.
morning with
Yeah.
your arm.
You'll
with
be
your
surprised.
chili and
But
your
you
li-
know,
just-
it's very weird, but in Singapore, you can have very localized rain clouds. Having driven a convertible before, I can tell you, you have the top down, you're driving, it's nice and sunny, all of a sudden you're covered in a downpour
Yeah.
because you drove into a rain cloud.
but you know why?
And then 10 minutes later, you're driving out of it.
No, but you know
Yeah.
why
You
that
know.
happened to you? Because somewhere there along the way at the golf course, somebody had just put in that chili and the cloud moved.
No, but really,
and there it was.
Either
over
that
your
or
head.
two frogs mated.
Okay, for example, you guys laugh about me washing my car, but you can ask a lot of people on my Facebook. I tell them civic duty. It's hot. I'm washing my car. Bring your brollies. It rains, right? 9.5 out of 10, it rains.
Okay, now is it
And
just
these
your
guys are
car or
going-
anyone's car?
No, my car.
Oh, your car.
And
Not my car.
and these guys are actually this is crazy because it really does happen every time I do it, and I tell you, those who know me on social feeds and they know about this and they watch this episode, they're gonna go, yeah, you see, I'm telling you, it happens, man.
Well, it certainly
I
has
am
happened.
Thor.
It
Thor,
certainly
yeah.
happened unintentionally
Where's
for
your
me
hammer?
that the day after
Sorry, I had to say
that
that.
silence.
Yeah, you're
The day
Where's my hammer? And he goes silent.
I mean, if you have somebody sitting
Hey,
next
stick
to
your
you,
head
say,
out the
I'm
gutter,
Thor,
man."
I'm Thor. Because of his car, he's Thor. Gilbert,
I
what
don't
do
even
you
know
want me to do?
the car in Thor.
It
Thor is the
just-
god of
The
thunder.
god of thunder. Yeah, the god
Yeah.
of thunder. Yeah.
Go on. He's going to explain. Chris,
So, anyway.
what is
Yes.
the connection between your car, the god of thunder, and you being Thor?
Just me wanting to be Thor as a fantasy.
But without the
Happy?
hammer.
Thor must have a hammer, man.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Yeah. Next time I show you my hammer.
Okay,
Gilbert's
next
Gilbert's
subject.
having
Okay,
images
no,
in
so
his head.
I'm going to
to,
move on. Okay, so I'm going to move on with something very interesting. Now, you remember what we said last.
My
They
mind's
got
eye
married-
already got
no.
conjunctivitis.
the frogs got married. They went off to mate and consummate. The gods were with them. It rained. But in another part of the country, it rained so much, and this is, we're talking about Bhopal, where there was another set of frogs that got married. The gods were happy. It rained, and it rained, and it rained.
Wow.
And so the frogs had to be brought back, and they had to be divorced. No, I'm serious here. And so, because it was very difficult to find the two happily married frogs who had gone away somewhere.
That's
to get,
why.
Oh, the divorce proceedings, they had to use clay frogs in front of Lord Shiva.
That's why in the US they got it right.
Stopped raining.
That's why in the US they got it right. That's why Kermit married Miss Piggy. So they don't have these kind of problems.
But they don't have any baby frogs also.
Well, just imagine what kind of babies they'll have.
Actually, some memes have envisioned that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yeah.
Okay,
Half
so
frog, half pig. Quite cute, actually.
okay, so whether you believe it or not, in Udupi, in Karnataka, it started to rain. In Bhopal, the rain stopped. The gods are with us, but don't think our weather bureaus are prepared to go down this path
Wait.
yet.
In Bhopal, the rain actually stopped.
Yes, it does. When gods are there, you
But
ask
again,
them.
you have to ask yourself as a scientific mind, right? What are the law of averages of these things starting and stopping? Rains do begin and rains do stop, right?
Yeah,
So
but you know,
You
we're
like to
talking
bust
about...
the bubble of things that's so like, wow, really?
No.
And then Gilbert comes in and he gives us his logic, and then after that, kaboom, everything bursts.
No,
no. I mean, there are times when it does happen, but
No, we're talking about rituals and traditions and beliefs, but things can get quite
interesting.
weird.
Yeah, but again, it's just people trying to exert control, and don't blame them.
Okay, so now that you're talking about control, and we are talking about frogs,
Uh-huh.
from frogs we are going into
Excuse me.
employers who control their employees and make them do frog squats.
Allegedly.
Yeah,
Squats.
squats.
Because they're denying some of these things too.
Okay,
would you
so
like to share with
this
us?
this was not India, I take it.
No, this
Okay.
is
Now we're moving
at home,
to
man.
China.
This is at home.
No, China, right?
No, it's home.
No, it's Singapore, right?
It's Singapore.
Okay, so frogs are in
South
India,
Haven.
frog squats
South Haven,
are in
yeah.
Yeah, local fashion company South Haven.
Yeah.
Fashion chain has been accused of putting employees through bizarre punishments such as frog squats and fines for anything from weight gain to forgetting to cap their pins. There's a report in Shinmin Daily News.
Yeah.
The women aged between 20 and 27 recounted their ordeals to the Chinese Daily, claiming they were made to weigh themselves, update their weight in a group chat. Any weight gain was met with a fine. Pay fines between $1 and $5 for miscellaneous offences include failing to cap their pen, failing to swiftly retrieve clothes from fitting rooms, failing to switch off electric kettle. Oh, goodness. So anyway, I find this, of course, very strange. I want to know, okay, what is South Haven? What kind of company is it? Why is it? It's a
I
local
think it's a
fashion
boutique,
company.
mate. They've
All right.
got about 5 outlets in Singapore since
Yeah.
97.
Yes.
So
They've been
their
around since
weight,
then.
why is their weight important, right? It's not as if they are slimming salons where they need to set an example. I think it's wrong for the company to, if these allegations are correct,
They're
to
saying
do
that-
this. The part about doing frog squats and all that actually kind of reminds me of companies in Japan, because in Japan they have this culture where basically a very united company mentality.
But they start that before they start the day.
That's right.
Yeah,
Exercise
before they start
together.
their work day. It
Yes.
used
It's
to
not
be like
used as
this.
punishment.
No, but it
It's
used to be like this in
team
Singapore as
build
well.
in the
You
army.
mean the frog
No,
squat?
in Singapore, in Hitachi. When I drive past, I don't know whether they're still there. Hitachi. I used to drive past many years ago. And of course, Singaporean workers, right, working for Hitachi, in the morning they they arrive to work. Before they start work, they're all outside in the compound area,
Yeah,
kind
but
of assembly area, and they start doing
Yes.
exercises.
That's to build
And
team
frog
unity.
squats.
Yeah.
Yes, that's to build unity. It's not used as punishment in the Japanese
Yeah,
companies.
yeah.
Here it is, which I find very strange, basically.
No, but I think what's even stranger is that we were told that this actually was a suggestion of the employees
themselves. That's what the bosses are saying.
And you think that's true, Chris?
I don't know. Who knows? I mean,
Okay, as someone who's run companies before, employees can make suggestions all the time. You as a boss, you have to basically tell them that's a wacko suggestion, I'm not going to do it, and not follow through with it, First of all, you think about this, right? And he said that one employee who was only 20 said she ended up paying a few $100s in fines and penalties in a first month of employment. That is just wrong, I mean, it's one thing if everyone agrees that we're going to put money aside if we break rules and all that, and the money will go to charity and everyone signs off on that, that's one thing. But to the tune of a few $100s when these women probably at 20 years old working in a boutique are not earning very much,
But-
that seems really
but you know
wrong.
something? Just let you know, this is
Employee-led initiatives.
I know of. I'm not going to mention the company's name, but I know for a fact probably about less than, but probably 15 years ago or so. And it's a very well-known company. The boss got into some trouble over the over the gold taps and all that kind of stuff,
Yes.
And then after which,
Met him before.
oh yeah, I'm sure you have. And employees who come in late, right, after a particular time. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I can stand corrected. I apologize if I'm wrong, but they definitely have a fine system because they have to clock in. So it's like $5 or something.
Yeah.
$5 per hour, per 5 minutes, or every block of 5 minutes,
So
or
is
something
that
like that.
is that basically $5 they pay out of their pocket, meaning that they're
Deducted
not
off,
their pay?
deducted off the pay.
Okay, so what people need to realize, and bosses especially need to realize, and I've seen this in companies as well, is that if you institute FaceTime, where you basically, not the FaceTime of Facebook, but FaceTime where you show up at a certain time and you must be very, very on, and you punish them for being late, what's going to happen is that they will do the same thing when they are working late. They will not work late. They will leave. They say, if you're going to make me come in exactly at 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock sharp, I'm going to leave at 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock sharp, basically.
True.
And that doesn't help anyone.
Yeah, yeah.
You really need to institute a culture where people feel they need to be there to do the work.
Compelled to do something right and forward for the company.
Yeah, exactly. And let them do that. Of course, you don't want people taking advantage of it and strolling in at noon or whatever it is.
Sure.
But these kinds of things. I mean, I'm curious about this company because this kind of culture is not normal in Singapore. It's more normal in more authoritarian cultures, maybe like communist China, or maybe
Yeah, but then again, a bit far-fetched. Do you think? If, let's say, like what Daisy highlighted just now, that the bosses are saying the employees decided amongst themselves to have all these things done, but frankly speaking, I don't see how. I don't see why as well. How does this motivate your colleagues to work better together with you?
Exactly.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
However, air squats are really good for your health, but
That's true.
200. Look, during the circuit breaker at home, I was doing like 100 squats a day, and it's a killer. 200
With weights or just body weight?
just body weight, air squats. Yeah, just body weight. It's a killer, man. Just doing 100 reps. You imagine doing 200. I mean, it's a bit. Ugh.
My trainer told me to do the
but
kind of
you
where
were
you do
doing
one leg
the-
at a
sorry,
time.
Go ahead.
One leg at a time.
Yeah.
No, you were doing the squats
Sure.
because you wanted to. Imagine
Yeah,
being
yeah, yeah.
told
Being
you
told
have to
to do
do
it.
it.
Yeah, no,
because
that's
you
terrible.
put on-
That's
I mean,
abusive,
it's
and I-
absolutely, that's
I just hope
absolutely
it's
not allowed.
I just hope that this is just these allegations are just proven false. That it
No,
didn't
but I
really
think-
happen.
I don't think they would, because they wouldn't go public and talk about it.
I
Yeah.
think
This
the
was
employers
them.
would say something, right? The company would turn around and say nonsense.
They did.
Instead,
They- sort of.
instead they turned around and said it's employee-led initiative.
Correct, yeah.
Like,
Okay, so they did give a response here.
Yeah, they did,
Rebutting
yeah.
some of the claims, the spokespersons told the newspaper, the group chat monitoring employees' weights was an employee-led initiative.
Correct.
Okay, that's one thing. The fines were between 50 cents and $2. Again, it was an employee-led initiative. So if that woman said that she's lost a few $100, she must be late every day, if that's the case,
then
basically.
she should have been sacked.
They did not implement any corporal punishment. The employees chose to do the frog squats as self-motivation after failing to hit sales targets. Employees were not forced to treat each other to meals. So they've been in business since 1997, and they've got 5 outlets in Singapore, so it's not a little fly-by-night operation.
So we're
basically.
talking about if the employees are feeling so motivated to punish themselves. It reminds me a bit like what Mahatma Gandhi used to do. So every time there was something that he did wrong, then he would decide and say, okay, I'm going to give up salt now. I'm not going to do this. It's like, I need to correct myself. If that's the case, then hey, these employees are really motivated to want to reach those sales targets. And so is that bizarre? It's as strange and up for discussion as we were doing, talking about the love
Yeah.
and talking about,
Maybe this has been taken completely out of context. We don't know.
well,
Yeah,
okay.
but they gave an interview to a newspaper, so they obviously had a grouse.
No,
there.
but did any of
Yeah.
the employees come out and say, yes, we are motivated to do the frog squats on our own? Has
No,
anybody
they
done
haven't
that?
yet, because they spoke to the employees, and the employees gave the complaints. Then they went to the company, and the company rebutted it, but they didn't go back to the employees then to ask, what
Correct.
do you say about
So,
that.
well, the verdict
But
is still out
yeah,
there.
anyway, it's out there now, and the newspaper that reported as Mothership, I think was it Mothership?
Yeah.
Or the Independent, Mothership,
Mothership, yeah.
has reached out to Ministry of Manpower for comment. So
Let's see where this goes.
Yes.
No, it's
It's gonna
Asia
be
1, so it's
interesting.
Asia 1, mate.
Asia 1. I see.
Asia 1.
Okay, Asia 1. Okay.
I think if they have reached out to the Ministry of Manpower, we promise you, listeners, we are going to find out and share with you the moment we know what comes about. But now we move on to a more positive story.
Yes.
Chris, would you like to share that?
Yeah,
with us?
this,
It's such a lovely story.
It is. A vegetarian eatery in Ang Mo Kio called Food in the Woods recently took to Facebook and shared a CCTV footage of a man who stole some plastic bags containing some of the ingredients from the shop's table very recently. But the sweet thing is that they didn't get angry. Instead, the eatery expressed, they empathized, saying that there must be people in some form of real need, right? Hungry, maybe out of work, no money to buy food. So they saw an opportunity and took it, right? And they said, and they actually, in Facebook, they actually said this. They posted and said, they're urging people who are in need and going hungry to just, it's okay, walk in and ask us, and we'll give you a free meal. Specifically, I quote, if you or anyone are really in need, going hungry, please just let us know. I think that's really, really good. And they did not make any police report. But they did say that they posted this, and they were very good about it because CCTV, they could see the person's face and profile and everything. But they didn't post that. They posted the back of him.
Yeah. Of
So
course,
you
not
won't really be
embarrassing.
recognized.
Yeah.
But they did say the purpose of them posting is not to get him in trouble, but to deter people from doing the same thing. Why? It makes sense because what they said was in F&B, right? Every dollar earned, they gave a lesson in F&B economics. For every dollar earned could translate to perhaps 5 cents after all the deductions. Every dollar lost in costs is a full dollar. That makes sense. Now, don't take our stuff because we still need to earn and we still need to make business, right? And because COG and COF, cost of goods and cost of food in the F&B business is a major issue.
Yes.
Correct? So they are saying, don't steal, but approach us instead. If you need a free meal and you're hungry, we'll help. And I think that's really, really sweet. And they're really not making a police report. I mean, that's awesome.
Yes,
So these are cool people.
And very cool. And obviously in these difficult times, there are more people who are in need. And this one particular stall is not the only one that's done that. There was this other report which I found very heartening, and this was earlier on in the circuit breaker. These two young guys named Jason Chua and Hang Zheng Long, who run a rice bowl stall called Beng Who Cooks. They were giving out free food. Every day they went and they used their own money and they cooked meals, and people could just come by and get free food.
Oh, bless them.
And I thought that was wonderful. And sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, and I think it's important for people out there to keep in mind that Singapore has got a helpline, a hotline, the ComCare hotline, that anyone can call if they're in need, and that's 1-800-222-0000. 1-800-222-0000. So if you're already in need, you do not need to go and try and steal food anywhere. Just call this hotline. That's one of the things I am very grateful for about Singapore is that really, if you are in need, you will not go hungry. There will be people, and the government will help you. Contrast this, certainly I know because, my godson, my beloved godson is Filipino, and he's in the Philippines right now. And that country is undergoing a lot of difficulty, as many other countries are.
Absolutely.
And because the government has not had enough funds to actually supplement incomes, people have not been able to work. And there are people who are going hungry. Really, really going hungry there, and that's really sad and tragic. And I see that, and I'm glad in Singapore at least we're not at that situation. So those of you out there, if you're in need or someone's in need, do call the ComCare hotline, and they will find help for you.
Gilbert, there's something else I just want to add to this. Because I think it's a very wise way of looking at the problem, the way they dealt with it. Because you see, to try and understand, it was important to understand why he did it. Because, that he's not a criminal. He was driven by hunger. Because, you know, when I read this, I thought of the very, very famous musical, Name is Rab, you know, where there is the central character. And the central character of Jean Valjean, he steals bread to
Yes.
feed his sister's children.
Yes.
And then there is a relentless pursuit. Relentlessly, he is persecuted for the rest of his life. So, you know, I think about it and I say, if this person was actually reported, he becomes a thief. And people forget what the motivation was. What did he do? Why did he do it? He just gets branded a thief.
Compared to the story from Les Miserables, in Singapore we are less miserable, so that's something to be
That's-
grateful
yes.
for.
Yes.
But you know, from Gilbert and Daisy and myself, we'd like to say kudos to Food in the Woods.
Yes.
Great stuff, guys.
Yes.
And the Bing Boys too.
And the
And
big
big
boys.
So
Yes.
we've got one more story, and that very, very controversial story. I'm going to move over to Gilbert.
Okay, all right. So
because he's precise and he's going to give you. He's going to dot his I's.
Okay, well,
dot T's.
I'll see what I can
to-
what light I can shed on this.
okay.
Basically, something I'm sure a lot of people have been talking about, not just here in Singapore, but around the region and other parts of the world as well, because it's made so much news. Is that a Singapore-based company made a bid for the soccer team in
Football
England.
team, man. Don't say soccer, man. Football team. Thank
Football could mean American football, right?
you. No. American football is just in America. That's
All
about
right,
the size of
that's
it.
the
Yeah.
difference. In the US, we called it soccer.
He's so American.
Football.
and
Football.
Good grief.
Okay.
Jimmy.
Yeah, football lah. move
Football
on,
team
lah.
called what? Not something.
Newcastle,
Newcastle,
United.
sorry.
Alamak.
Newcastle United. Sorry,
Where
I
were
don't,
you taking us
I
to?
don't
Not
play
Bonavista-
soccer.
Bonavista.
What?
Okay, nothing. Come on, go on. Don't distract. This is a wonderful subject.
Newcastle,
Yes,
right?
Yes.
So
yes.
obviously it made big news because it was a Singapore company that was making a bid for a football team that had not been able to find an owner for quite a while. Am I correct, Chris?
Something like that.
Yes. Okay. So, of course, you know when you do something like that, the world's attention turns on you. You got to be really make sure you're ready for the spotlight when the spotlight hits you. You know, like a ton of bricks, right? So what happened then was that there were press releases that were issued that described the company in very glowing terms with a lot of claims, and their website also made a lot of claims about the number of jets that they had, which was some incredible number that was much more than even Singapore Airlines had, you know. And as the revelations got more and more, Reuters did a whole investigation into the group and found a lot of discrepancies in what they were claiming. But the thing that really got people talking was the fact that they had photographs of themselves with President Barack Obama, which seemed to have been taken in their Paris headquarters office. Reuters then found that when they went to the Place Vendôme location, which is a very prestigious address in Paris. It's like the Orchard Road of the heart of Orchard Road of Paris. They couldn't find this company there. That there was basically just a office sharing space
premises,
there.
yeah.
That you know
Yeah.
they had
It's co-sharing space.
Co-sharing space, yes. And the photographs were not taken with President Obama at the Paris office as what was seen, but what actually had been taken at a charity event in Singapore, and they had photoshopped more people into that photograph, you know. So of course this just really caused a big controversy out there. So you know, I think you know our listeners and our viewers already know enough of the story. They have to go too much into it, but I think that what this shows is a couple of things. One is be very careful about what you're claiming, especially once it's exposed online. You know, it is really, you may think it's the absolute truth, but, and here, Daisy, I have to quote from Omar Khayyam.
Ah, by Omar Khayyam.
He said,
You're not kidding me,
No.
man.
Go ahead.
a hair divides what is false and what is true.
Absolutely.
That's called a wig.
But you
So
know,
the point basically is that, you know, especially in these days when everything is under scrutiny and people out there are always just all too ready to point out any mistakes and flaws, when you do something like this, which is so egregious and so public, and did they not think that they would be caught? Did they not think that their claims would be investigated? So now basically they've asked people, they've retracted several press releases that they have sent out. And you know, I mean, again, as Omar Khayyam said, you know, the moving finger writes and having writ moves on. Nor for all piety nor wit shall lure it back to cancel half a line. Do you remember that?
Know, yeah, but you know what? what scares me, I mean, you're talking about, okay, people are going to be looking at it very intently because, you know, it's a big company, it's out there. For somebody like me who is not very corporate and doesn't have any great investments anywhere, I just find it so scary that this technology can be used now to doctor images, voice,
That's been around for
expression.
some
Even
time.
videos.
No,
No,
so
but
now-
even now videos,
Correct.
basically.
So
you
now
know?
every
it's
step
called
of
the
the way,
deep fake.
Correct. No, so now every step of the way it's becoming more difficult.
Yeah,
to just
someone took my head.
trust
And
people.
placed it on Pamela Anderson's body. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, we're going to just believe. No, that's not fake at all. No, Chris. We're going to believe that, aren't we? Okay.
Omar
so-
Khayyam, you and your Omar Khayyam is
Omar-
contagious.
Okay, now, I have spread Omar Khayyam here, but
Hey, gonna hit
I'm
me.
going to,
No.
okay, not him. He's going to be
I've
having the head.
investigated against
So
that.
he's into the body of Pamela Anderson. But I'd like to end now, and just by saying that, like you said, to separate truth and fiction is becoming harder and harder and harder. So a few last words from my co-hosts. Yes,
She
Pamela
forgot you're
Anderson.
supposed to close.
Oh,
I mean, you know, he goes first, then I me.
yeah.
that's
He
fine.
goes, then me goes, then you
Yeah,
close.
that's fine.
Pamela,
Yes.
go ahead.
Okay. You know these two people for sure. You know they will have their own quotes. They
No.
just
I've
have
been
this
quoting
whole
and quoting from 18
library of
episodes,
people to
okay?
quote from. But I'm just gonna leave it with this because I really love the story by these good guys from Food in the Woods. You know what they did and the Bang Boys. And yes, it's true. There are a lot of people. I'm pretty sure that's going through hardships at this time. We've always been saying this throughout most of our episodes. We live in extraordinary times. This period in history is extraordinary. It's hard. It's tough on some, and I feel for them. But I just want to say, let's have a little bit of optimism, positivity, and hope. And to all these guys who are facing hardships today, I like to quote again the legendary Bob Marley.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, man. Omar Khayyam. Don't worry about a thing, because every little thing is gonna be all right.
Absolutely.
There
I'm
you
just
go.
going to say,
Bob Marley.
I'm not going to quote Omar Khayyam or Bob Marley. I mean, you see, I've been quoting for the past
Reggae.
18 episodes, but this time I'm just going to say, this too will pass. And yeah. So that's it for me, and over to Gilbert.
Okay. These are difficult times, and things may get more difficult before they get better. But one thing which I am very sure of is that we're all in this together, and we need to look out for each other. I think very often in a country like Singapore, we expect the government to do everything. We think everything is the government's responsibility, especially when it comes to helping people. And that's not true. No government program, no government institution can replace just us caring for
Yes.
each other.
Yes.
And I think that if we go forward with this mindset and you look around you, in every day, in so many ways, there are ways that we can be kind to someone, total strangers, and the sum of all of these actions that we do will make the world and our country better. So don't think of it as a government-only issue. Help each other and be kind to each other. And that's really how we're going to pull through all
Coming
of this.
together, man.
Coming together.
Coming
That's
together.
really so important. So thanks very much for joining us for another episode of In Our Humble Opinion. And please like, subscribe, and comment, and tell us what you think and what topics you'd like us to cover again in the future. And we'll see you again next week. So be safe, be well, and be kind.
And remember, I do look like Pamela Anderson.
Yeah, I can see it below.
Please
Okay.
cut.
Namaste,
Goodbye.
namaste,
Bye.
namaste.
Bye-bye.
Namaste. Oh, Pam.